back, and we're live for more Dota 2 Super League action. Group B, we're now well into the thick of things, Lumi. It's going to be a pretty interesting match here today. Rattlesnake Gaming versus Team DK. One of the teams 2-0, that being DK. The other one 0-2. They've been struggling out. Rattlesnake have yet to put a win on the board. Despite being a team that I thought had a shot to advance out of this group, they have just underperformed pretty significantly through the group stage, albeit against stiff competition. But the competition only gets harder here. DK looking very, very strong.
Well, they look very strong in this particular tournament, but for example, in the G1 LAN final, maybe less so strong. Obviously, there were a lot better teams there. And Rattlesnake look a lot better in the Eastern qualifier, obviously with, I guess, weaker teams arguably. But I think DK should take the series, but if Rattlesnake takes it, like 2-1 or something like that, it won't surprise me.
Well, the draft now underway. I'm very curious to see if Rattlesnake is going to do something unorthodox with their picks, because that's what we saw a lot from them, even in 6.77 when people were accusing the metagame of being stale, of teams just picking the same heroes every time. Even if Rattlesnake picked the same heroes, they found ways to use them differently. They were pioneers with the Clockwork Darkseer dual lane, and they really made it work. So look to Rattlesnake maybe to pull some unorthodox picks out of the hat, or even if the heroes are standard, to lane them kind of differently.
Well, they're going to be taking Alchemist first, which is a hero that Rattlesnake do use in multiple roles, whether it's going to be a solo mid or a carry role. But I'm with you here. I'm hoping for Dooms. I'm hoping for Kunkas. Their support Earthshakers. But so far, they go with something very, very standard, Visage and Gyrocopter. It's not to say that we're not going to see these less pick heroes. They generally pick it 4th, 5th pick. So if you're a fan of those heroes, keep watching. It might come later.
Yeah, it's still possible for them to pull something out of the hat. As for DK, Alchemist, this hero's been working for them. They just find ways to win. We saw them give it to super solo mid, rush the mech, go for the early medallion, play that utility Alchemist role, and then later on, you can become a damage dealer for your team, even getting damage items that are also sort of utility-based, like Assault Cuirass, which helps your team's DPS, also helps your own survivability. So we'll see how they want to play this. They can also give it to Burning, throw it into the safe lane, and just go for the max GPM, 800, 900 gold per minute, max the Greevil's Greed, farm your way to victory. We'll see what DK go for, but against Rattlesnake, generally Rattlesnake are aggressive, so I don't know if this is a team where you can get away with that kind of style.
I think it's a little bit safer to play defensive. DK generally very good at protecting their towers, and against Visage and Gyrocopter, who generally gets a couple kills and then push your tower. That's what Orange did in multiple of their Visage games. I imagine DK is going to have a easier or better time because their playstyle just match up a little bit better against Rattlesnake. They need a little bit more defensive heroes, though.
So, Lumi, we'll unpack the draft a little bit more. For DK right now, Shadow Demon's been one of their go-to supports. So, too, has Crystal Maiden. She's still in the pool. Is that something you look to pick up here in these first 3 or 4 picks, or do you leave it for the end?
I think it's somewhat dangerous to, well, they pick up Undying right now.
One of their other recent supports they've been favoring.
And the trialing that they always like to run is Alchemist, Undying, Crystal Maiden. The reason I don't like particularly this trialing against Gyrocopter or Visage is Flat Cannon is so good against killing all of the zombies. So
yeah, every Flat Cannon attack kills all zombies
in one hit. More importantly, it's very easy for Gyrocopter to pop the Flat Cannon and just do a ton of physical harass against Crystal Maiden, who starts with 1 armor. And any type of plus damage from Gyrocopter is going to shut Crystal Maiden down. So I don't think DK should run any type of offensive trialing involving these 3, but we'll see what they do.
It seems to me more like an insurance pick here, where they look at what Rattlesnake have and they say, Rattlesnake might want to be aggressive on their own, so we'll protect against your aggressive trialing by getting Undying. If we want to go aggressive, we leave the option open, but not necessarily planning on doing so. So where do they go from here? Rattlesnake, Gyro, Visage. We've often seen them run the Gyro as a solo safe lane and then an aggressive tri-lane. We occasionally see the dual lanes for them, but when they do that, it's generally with a more survivable hero like a Weaver. Gyro's a little bit vulnerable against a tri-lane or against roaming strategies. Also, DK, we've seen them go to the jungle play. We've seen the Enchantress, the Chen from QQQ, and something that teams will have banned against DK in the past. So I don't know if we'll see it this game, but there's just a lot of options on the table for both of these teams to think about.
Yeah, both these teams are very versatile, which is not something we speak about DK too much because they used to only do 4 protect 1, but their playstyle as well as their hero pool has really widened in the past 6 months, I want to say.
And that used to be the big knock on DK.
right.
Was,
You know what they're gonna do, and then you have like the set strategy prepare against them. But
yeah, very strong individual skill, great at executing 4 Protect 1. It's how they finished 4th at the International too, but they've evolved. This is a new DK. It's a new day for them, and I've been impressed by this team. They made some roster changes after the International too. There was a lot of questions, a lot of doubts. They really struggled in the G. I mean, the G League ultimately they only had 1 bad series, but it cost them the right to advance out of the group stages. And people were questioning them. They didn't really perform that well since then. G1 League, they started to look decent at the LAN finals, but in the Dota 2 Super League, this is where I feel maybe we're finally starting to see this DK team gel, and if they keep this up, they could be a threat to go very deep at the International 3.
I mean, you talked about that they had a 1 bad series in G1 LAN finals. I thought they had
Or
one,
G League.
G League. I thought they had 1 exceptional series against or game against Alliance, even though they lost that game in the G1 LAN. They showed the true potential of what DK can do, like just deficit throughout the entire game, but still able to hold. That's what DK generally is so good at, just defensive Dota, and then try to outcarry you late.
And we're going to see some respect towards Lamb here. Speaking of aggressive heroes and defensive Dota to try and deal with that, Lamb, he's played that Storm Spirit before. There wouldn't be a Lifestealer.
He's played everything before.
He's played everything before, including his own Enchantress. I mean, I mentioned the jungle play of QQQ, but Lamb's the real jack of all trades and master of many in this game. We saw him play an exceptional Storm in the G1 League qualifiers. We've seen him play, obviously, the jungle Enchantress. He played support on occasion. He's played Clockwork. He's played off-lane Mag. This guy really can do it all, but they're going to remove one of the more offensive options here in the Storm Spirit.
Yeah, and Crystal Maiden on the other side is going to get banned out, so the DK tri-lane that they use so much is not going to be available anymore. But back to the LAN point, this is the reason why Rattlesnake's one of my favorite teams in China, simply because they don't have a stable, oh, here's my 1-role player, and here's my 2-role player. They just do whatever the hell they want based on the heroes, which it's so fun to actually cast. It's somewhat, I guess, intimidating if you're a caster and this is the first game you walk into casting a Rattlesnake game. They're like, oh, Lamb's playing carry here. Next game he's like on Chen.
Guys, I went on Dota-Academy and it says Icy's their carry player, and then suddenly he's playing a Crystal Maiden. What's going on?
Right, so it's just really a refreshing playstyle, and it just reminds you that all 5 of their players could play all 5 role at high competitive level, which is something that players like myself really want to inspire to be. Like, you just want to be a well-rounded player.
You want to be the very best, Lumi.
Yeah, I do.
I do too.
And catch him up.
Ash Ketchum, you're my hero. But we'll see where DK goes from here. They have the Undying, so offensive tri-lane is an option. They could send the Alchemist solo mid, and he matches up reasonably well against anything Rattlesnake would put there. The only obvious solo mid for Rattlesnake is a Gyro right now, and it's something they could do, not something they do a whole lot of. Generally, they prefer it either in the aggressive tri-lane or the safe lane as the farmer. DK will go Weaver. Now, this I find interesting because you look at what Rattlesnake have, Lumi, and no reliable setup stuns. Weaver could have a field day.
Yeah, he will, and look at the minus.
Oh, man.
Well, there is a reliable stun, and this is no surprise coming out from Rattlesnake. They love to pick that Doom, and Doom recently had a couple of buffs. One of them is the way to deal with a certain passive, which is so far not present in this game. The other buff is an Acceptor buff on Doombringer, which I personally don't think he'll end up getting, because
We actually saw it yesterday. And
oh, really? Who was?
It was yesterday, right? Maybe it was 2 days ago.
I didn't cast that game, so maybe it was 2 days.
You were casting with me yesterday.
But I didn't cast it.
Oh, it was with Gods. You're right. It was 2 days ago. Doom went Acceptor. Problem is, Doom doesn't really want to be standing in the middle of the fight for the most part. He actually dies pretty quickly. He was up against the Gyrocopter with an MKB, a couple of damage items, and the whole Aghanim Scepter buff is Doom doesn't tick down, right, if you're near them. But if you're near a farmed carry, they just kill you.
Right.
So it's a buff that sounds great on paper. I think it can work if you're ahead, but if you're behind or as a comeback mechanic, not really that viable.
I think that's more of your Trollo pup build, which is, we all look forward
It's
to.
a really, conceptually, I love the buff.
Yeah.
Practically speaking,
in these pro games where team fights want to be decided instantly,
Yeah.
you don't want something like that. And I feel like Doombringer still needs armor. He still needs movement speed in team fight, despite having Scourge Earth already. You just want to kind of dart in and out in team fight to tank and then.
And the issue in the game that we actually cast, I think it was Rattlesnake who ran him, was that they just couldn't find a proper lane for him. They tried to put him solo safe lane, but he ended up against an aggressive tri-lane. The enemy team had an off-lane Clockwork, and the Doom is just so much easier to zone out of the lane. Clockwork, you've cogs. It's just really hard to actually kill the hero. Doom can run away quickly, but that's about it. They were even denying his jungle, so when you pick into Doom, I think the main issue is just finding a place to lane him. We'll see if Rattlesnake can find an appropriate lane in this game, and if they do, they've got at least a dual core here with Gyro Doom. And, oh, here we go. We talked about the pocket pick, Lumi.
Oh, my God.
And now we got it. The Bristleback is in the house.
This is why Rattlesnake.
Talk to me.
One of my favorite teams. Well, first things first, it does kill all of zombies in one hit. So now you have two very reliable.
The Quills,
yeah,
really?
The Quills, yeah.
I didn't know that.
And right now, the armor value heroes of the Radiant team is fairly low. You have Alchemist that before he picks up like a AC or whatever armor item he goes for, Rubik. And to a certain extent, the Undying's fairly low. Now Magnus.
Wow.
These are heroes that you get multiple stacks on. I don't know how long these team fights gonna last. That's a big concern because the longer team fight lasts, the stronger Bristleback is. Generally, DK likes to defend towers, and that's where Bristleback is also very strong. He stands back, kill you a couple times, run in and out of team fights. The Quill memory got buffed in 6.78. What that means is that each stack now lasts longer, and you could have longer time in between to stack more. So, what's wrong with my mic?
Lumi's mic just keeps on finding its way away from his face, so he's growing increasingly distant. But while you fix that, Lumi, looks like it should be hopefully a bit better. Looking at Rattlesnake's lineup, it's not just the Bristleback who wants long fights. It's a lot of these heroes. Visage would love to get off multiple soul assumptions.
Sure.
Gyro, Chasey, you getting off maybe 2 flat cannons in the fight. Definitely a lot of rocket barrages. Lena, pretty spammable nukes. Doom, not so much. But this is a team that wants to chase you and have chaotic fights under your tower, isolate heroes, and just blow them up.
Right, and heroes generally like Undying and Alchemist benefit from long fights when they have minus armor and a swarm. They don't really matter as much because Undying zombies are not going to be a factor at all in this game. And if they tank up in terms of their own armor, they need a pretty quick mech. I imagine Bristleback is the person that's going to be getting it, or Doom, depending what type of which lane that he's going to be going for. Having a mech on both teams is going to be a big deal because also mech is very, very important against Bristleback, who most of his damage comes out physically through Crow Spray, as well as physical right clicks, having a warp half.
It's a game where I look at both teams, and I would say they both have a lot of burst physically and magically. DK, they've got Empower and Acid Spray, which means automatically a decent amount of physical damage, plus Weaver with his minus armor. So Rattlesnake will want a mech of their own, and then there's plenty of nukes to fly out as well. Sakuchi, Shockwave, Rubik's Fade Bolt, Undying's constant nuke spam. So both teams, a lot of burst, a lot of offensive firepower, some good escape mechanisms, but it does feel like there's going to be a bloodbath to be had, and I'm looking forward to it. Guys, it's a best of 3. Rattlesnake versus DK. This is game 1, and we have ourselves a Bristleback. Call me very excited. Rattlesnake, we'll introduce them now. They're 0-2 in the group. They need to put a best of 3 win on the board, or they risk being virtually eliminated from Group B. Kabu handling the Lena. Icy on the Gyrocopter. We'll have Sagem on the Visage. Lamb playing that Bristleback. That's right. Did a double take there, even though we just saw him get drafted. And well, we might have a little engagement here. Let's see. ROTK, he'll back off. No, QQQ. It looks like they'll just scout each other out. Last but not least, we have Luo playing the Doombringer.
So it's going to be the Gyrocopter going mid simply because there is a ring of protection on Lamb, and that generally indicates that he is on the side lane. We'll talk about that lane particularly a little bit, but let's introduce DK. QQQ on that Undying. MMY is going to be handling Rubik, who one of the more underrated and still very, very good Rubik player in China. ROTK will be playing Weaver. Generally, the offlane player might not. He is going to be an offlane player in this game. Burning's going to be playing Alchemist on the very safe lane. Looks like we're going to have a skirmish over. Oh, nice toss up here. And looks like, well, Lamb is completely trapped. It's going to be a 2v3 team fight. Neil's going for that kill. And no, not going to get it. Kabu's going to drop first blood. And Lamb still stuck on the top lane here.
My goodness, that was so close. Die lived with about 30 HP. That soul assumption, not quite enough. If Lamb was in the fight, he gets off 1 Quill Spray, maybe 2. That's first blood.
They win that fight easily.
Easily. And they probably chase down at least 1 or 2 more heroes. Lamb stuck on the cliff. There won't even be money to buy him a TP scroll, actually. Who's going to have it? Lena, no money. Visage, no money. They're going to have to wait at least 2 creeps. He could be stuck up here for... Well, actually, Lamb will just get the gold now. But nonetheless, he's going to miss at least a wave or 2 of experience. And it might be a kill as well. Sagem way too far out. If they get this stun, he is going to drop.
To the north.
He's going to tango through, burning self-stun. So nice juke there by Sagem. Averts an absolute disaster, but call it already something of a disaster. QQQ eats a stun. Maybe not. There's a soul assumption available. Is he going to throw it? He's low, but not low enough. And at long last, It's a walking courier. That's the other issue. Even though they have the TP.
They got to upgrade their courier.
They have to farm a courier upgrade. It's going to have to be someone mid, probably Icy, who buys it.
No, he's going for the quick bottle, so...
Well, maybe your safe lane farmer there.
There's the upgrade courier. Lamb's going to TP to bot lane, but missing a ton of EXP.
My goodness.
I guess your support getting quick level 2 is not a bad deal, but look at the EXP on the support. They're not getting anything either. Finally, this trialing is back. Well... I guess that's one way to start a trial.
I'm not sure we're going to get to see its full power now, Lumi, but we'll see if we can. We never properly introduced DK, so I'll do it right now. Burning, B-God, burning your soul on the Alchemist, and he's off to a fast start. QQQ, playing the Undying. Die, the support Rubik will have Super handling the Magnus, and last but not least, RTK, the offlane Weaver. I think you actually introduced some of them, and then the fight broke out. Yep. So just making sure we got them all covered. We'll have a 3-hero decay. That's going to discourage any aggression for Rattlesnake, and as strong as their trialing could be, I feel like just Undying being in this lane and already having level 2, it may blunt any aggression Rattlesnake can throw DK's way.
Yeah, normally you see Undying and you're like, wow, you cannot kill this hero because he has Tombstone. It's all very annoying. But Soul Rip recently got a little bit buff as well, and I feel like that's the spell you want simply because Quill Spray is going to take care of all the zombies. In fact, I'm not even sure whether you skill up Tombstone. That's one of the more ridiculous things I've said because Tombstone's
it's such a good ability, but maybe not this game.
Right, you're just going to get hard counter. A little bit more fight going on in jungle here. Nice D-warding coming out from DK.
Oh, they're not done yet. They're going to go in QQQ. He does have the Grave Chill on him. Lamb's giving chase. No goo, though. Soul Assumption not enough. Now the Alchemist stun comes in. That's some big burst. Kabu in all sorts of trouble. Is he going to go down? He sure will. Now QQQ still fighting out. He's got 4 decay stacks. He soul rips himself up. He's still alive. Drops the Tombstone as well. Lamb out of mana. Pops the Swan charges. He will get a much-needed kill on the Undying. But now, maybe forced back. He's going to try to fight his way out of this one. Will the Quills be enough? Doesn't look like it. Can't get in range for Goo. In the end, call it 3-1, and the only kill being the Undying. Massive advantage here for DK. Absolutely massive.
The reason that they won that fight as big as they did is because they got the first kill, which allowed Undying to get that Magic Stick. Magic Stick is probably the most important item you could get against Bristleback, and that's the reason why he's not in many pro games. Burning taking a little bit of harass here. I don't think they have enough mana to keep on chasing, but they're stacking those slow on them. Another Quill stack or two, but 2-man decay, a 2-man heal coming out from QQQ.
Oh no.
And it's going to go the other way.
Lamb's in trouble now. Here comes the stun being channeled up by Burning. It's going to hit Kabu. Doesn't even bother going for Lamb. Takes the easy kill. I do like the focus fire a lot from DK in this lane. They're not trying to kill off the tankier hero like the Bristleback, even though he was at half HP. Focus the squishy backliners. I feel that was the mistake by Rattlesnake. Even without the Magic Stick, you don't want to focus on dying. You really want to get the squishier other. Even Alchemist is a lot squishier than him.
Yeah, but if you look at the remnant of this trialing versus trialing situation, it's 4-1 in favor of DK. The trialing has completely lost. So I don't know what the proper response is.
We're going to have an engagement mid. Super's about to eat a missile to the face. Icy giving chase. He's not going to commit.
He doesn't have call down. If he did, that would have been a free first blood.
There's still a skewer. Well, it wouldn't be a first blood. Normally it would be. Not this game, though.
Well, it's only 4 minutes in. I was like, oh, yeah, first blood time.
So, Lumi, the other lane we haven't looked at yet is this top lane. ROTK 22-13. Luo 12-1. Got a War Stomp, but this is not the creep you want. As badass as his Doom looks, you need something that gives you sustain in the lane. This is not it.
Yeah, he previously had a Walken, which gave him +3 armor. Very, very important against the physical harass coming out from my Weaver. But I guess he's just using it whenever he possibly can to get a little bit of extra jungle and EXP. Also, the other big thing to talk about is that he's adjusting his Doom skill build. Normally, he doesn't max Devour. Normally, he just has 2 points and start maxing Scourge Earth. I'm not sure why he decides to max it this game. Maybe he knows he's going to be playing a little bit more farming-oriented instead, but not having max Scourge Earth, he's going to have a little bit of issues sustaining in this lane.
Yeah, it's going to be tough against the Weaver, and we'll see if Luo can make anything happen. Taking a lot of harassment right now. Is there a bottle on the way for him? He's actually running back in, and I'm just baiting RTK into a tower dive. There is no mana for Doom. If RTK commits to a kill, Luo won't have it yet, but he will soon. In bottom lane, we'll see Sagam just lurking in the wings, hoping for Burning to overextend, but Burning soon will be level 6, and you know, the crazy thing is Trilane versus Trilane, he's not even getting Acid Spray, and they're still winning the lane. Normally, I would say you need the Acid Spray. Middle lane, Super's going to find a solo kill on Icy. Well, that's pretty disastrous. Got level 6 first, has the RP, drops it now, and checking bottom lane again. No action there, but they need their solos to win after the way this tri-lane's developed. Giving up a kill mid is not going to help.
Yeah, that solo kill in the mid lane normally seems very standard because it's Magnus getting a solo kill, but that's pretty impressive considering that the RP got a 100 damage nerf in the new patch, so he just kind of widowed the gyrocopter low, and skewer RP, kind of the old school way.
Haster in for Cabo. He's going to scout it out the bottom rune, and we'll see if he leaves it. No, he'll just pick it up now. It's getting to that point, though. Can they actually find kills on this tri-lane? It's going to be tough because Die already has Boots. He's the one you want to go on. And QQQ, Boots and Tanky, burning level 6. All of a sudden, DK's tri-lane, very difficult to kill.
Everybody have Magic Stick. QQQ even have 7 charges on his, and you're not going to get anybody killed. So I think, unfortunately, Rattlesnake has to play defensive on this tri-lane. And this tri-lane's built for tower diving. It's built for kills. And I don't think it wants to farm.
Well, we'll see if they can find farm, or anything for that matter. He's going to get thrown back in, Lamb will. Tombstone gets dropped. Are they really going to dive the tower for this? They're thinking about it. Burning charges up a long duration stun, goes on to Kabu. That's half his health in an instant. Now he's dropping low. He'll fall, but they may have overextended here. The Quill Beast is on the move. The wand charges are there, keeping Die alive for the moment. Burning, healing up as well. But another soul assumption. They might be able to turn this around. No, they can't. Burning gets away with 100 HP. Magic Stick, such a good item. They're all going to live. More decays being spammed out. And Bristleback, you give away 3 Magic Sticks this early, Hero starts to feel rather underwhelming.
Yeah, I just want to mention that they dove past the tier 1 tower and went all the way back like a marathon, and nothing ever happened to any of those 3 heroes, because Alchemist just an insane tower diver with a face boot and his chemical rage on, everybody having Magic Sticks. You're just not going to get any kills against this lane, and I don't think I think Rattlesnake should just say, hey, Bristleback, you're on your own. We're going to help out Doom up top, because at this point, he's just a little bit more important of a target to help out. And speaking of Doom, he's still losing the lane very badly to that Weaver. Weaver, the lead farmer in this game, he's out CSing Doom by 30. And sure, there's some Devour extra goal here and there, but it's nowhere near what it needs to be to keep up. He's actually not using Devour whenever it's off cooldown. That's one thing I've noticed and criticized publicly about Luo in the past. He just doesn't spam Devour, I feel like, enough.
Well, they need that gold in this game, especially because Gyrocopter gave up first blood. Bristleback's farming, but how much is he really going to do as this game develops? Magic Stick really counters the hero to a large extent, and the other thing is, you get later on in the game, if Bristleback isn't really farmed, he needs to stay alive for a long time to do damage, and he won't. Not against this amount of burst damage. Weaver has a lot of minus armor coming from the bugs. Only level 1 now for the Swarm, but they'll be leveled up. Acid Spray as well will eventually be in play, and it'll get to a point in the game where Lamb will just die in 5 to 6 seconds. That's not long enough. You need to live for 10, 15, 20 seconds to really make the hero work. They might go in on Burning now. They just don't have an initiating stun.
They can't go on him when his chemical rage is on, unless tower's focusing on something.
And they're still trying to tri-lane against him. It doesn't seem like they're accomplishing anything here.
Yeah, maybe they're saying, hey, the other lanes, you worry about yourself. If we leave this lane, Bristleback's going to have nothing. Maybe Bristleback is the more important hero at this point in the game. Who knows? Because Bristleback doesn't have a lot of, I guess, life expectancy, if you talk about it. He gives you about 20 good minutes of like good tankiness and big harassment, but past that point, he just doesn't do too much. So they want to focus on Bristleback now.
Well, they're going to rotate Sagam off the lane, so he'll be left to his own devices for the most part. Sagam's going to come top. What can he actually accomplish? There's your Doom on RTK. That's what they can accomplish. They need to make this kill happen. Soul Assumption's got to be used soon. It comes in. He's not dead yet, though. This Doom still has a decent duration left. It should be enough in the end. He will go down.
Oh, unfortunately, Neo took that kill.
A much-needed kill, but not going to Luo. Good news is he can devour some creeps.
Yeah, it's still a very important kill for them to pick up, because this Weaver is somewhat getting out of control, but that's the power of Doom. You could make that gank any day, because it's such a long stun. As long as he doesn't get that Sakuchi off, it's a free kill, almost guaranteed.
Speaking of kills, we're going to see Die trying to secure one of his own for Team DK. Rotates mid, under cover of smoke. Icy, no phase boots, so won't have the additional move speed, but he's going to run towards the top rune, and well, it's going to spawn bottom. So as he doubles back now, this might be the moment. Die.
No, Kabu is checking for the runes, I think. No,
he's not. He's coming in right now, lifts him up, pulls him back in, drops the rocket barrage, the call down as well. Will it be enough? Skewer in from Super. RP2 has the shockwave. They'll secure the kill now, and they give it to Super. Now the rotation. Kabu's joined the fight. Lamb as well on the hunt, but Die healed up so much between this and the stick charges. Lamb's going to hunt him to the ends of the earth. Never mind that. Scratch that. He'll back off. Something stolen. Luo on the chase, but doesn't have Doom. Can they bring down Super? They Centaur stomp him. It will be enough. They needed that. They will delay the Blink Dagger as such, but in the end, they lose 2, including their farming Gyro. They only get 1.
Yeah, they only traded 2 for 1 here, and Undying and MMY, the victors of those fight, because they got a ton of EXP. MMY also have stolen himself a little bit of Crow Spray action, which is surprisingly good against the rest of the Rattlesnake team, because they got no armor as well. So, alright.
Yeah, it may end up being much more effective for DK than Rattlesnake because they have Acid Spray. Acid Spray and the Quills
and
is going to
Swarm.
hurt.
Yeah,
and the Swarm.
Yeah.
It actually will be more effective, assuming the one thing is Rubik doesn't really want to be in the middle of the fight. Now he has Call Down.
Well, that was a big bad mistake by Icy. Could have easily popped flagged at any point in the fountain and got rid of it. But
that's not a spell you want to give away in general, and I feel especially not this game because DK, they're content to sit back and farm with the lead they have, whereas Rattlesnake will have the onus on them to make things happen. They now trail by 6,000 gold, 5,000 experience, only 12 minutes in, which means if they're forcing fights and diving, you tend to clump, and that's where Call Down really tends to hurt.
I mean, if Rubik wants to use it for a solo kill, he's got the telekinesis to set it up as well. So that is just a dangerous combination of spells for Rubik to have, and it just shows you that Rattlesnake right now, they're, well, for the lack of a better word, somewhat rattled by this early game because
I see what you did there.
They pick up this early game lineup, including Visage, Lina, Jaro, as well as Bristleback. You assume to win it very hard. We're gonna see a smoke behind a tier 2, and Luo as well as I see it looking for some kills right now. They do have Doom available. They have Max Scourge, so they're moving very quickly. And our one row
they
Doom,
really want Burning.
They do, but the thing I want to point out is that our one row Doom is going for a mech. This is not generally what you want to see.
Well, I think ideally they want Icy to be the one, but the way this game is developing, we'll see if he actually can. Luo's going to come in. Right before this happens, I want to mention the tier 1 top was taken by DK, but it was denied by Sagam. And on that note, we'll see if Luo can find the gank. And, well, for the time being, just bide his time. DK seems fully prepared for this.
It's too obvious. Too many people are missing.
Top lane is pushed to the tower.
Yeah.
Now it's very, very obvious. And, well, Burning's still in a position where he could get caught out. The Familiars come in. He'll pop the chemical range before the Doom. That's going to make him way harder to bring down. He even runs out of the call down. He should be okay in the end. The missile comes through. QQQ's coming in. Here's Super as well. That's an RP. Catches 2. And all of a sudden, it's a party on the bottom lane. But DK crashing Rattlesnake's Gala. This is not what they hoped for. This is not what they wished for. They may lose Icy 2. That would be all 3 cores dead. In the end, they only lose 2, but it's a big loss because they were the ones waiting for the smoke gank, wasting time not farming, while RTK was freely pushing top. A huge economic deficit gained after that.
Yeah, the only thing they got out of that was Burning not farming for 20 seconds, but that's not a victory that you want to have. In fact, they're going to lose a tier 1 tower as well after losing 2 cores. So I don't think this draft, actually I don't think the laning worked out. The draft is actually fine, but Lamb's going to TP in and try to defend the tower, and in fact I think they will hold this.
What can he do? Bristleback, if he doesn't have the necessary follow-up, often does feel kind of useless because the enemy team just runs away. Goo is a fantastic slow, but not until you get multiple stacks up does it really start to kick in, and by the time you do that, they're back to their tier 1, so I don't know that it's the draft, Lumi. I think it's really just the way the lane's developed. I mean, they got first blood. They threw Bristleback up on the cliff. All of a sudden, Rattlesnake have 3 magic sticks at the 1 minute mark. And like you pointed out, that makes this magic sticks always important in tri-lane versus tri-lane. Way more so when you're up against this hero.
Yeah, I think as soon as you see magic stick on the Bristleback tri-lane, you just say, hey man, maybe we just ditch this tri-lane. It's just so hard to actually win it. But that's not what they did, and unfortunately they suffer greatly for it. They are going to lose that tier 1 on the bot lane, and I think they're going to try to trade for a tier 1, but I really don't think they will get it. And normally or at least I am gushing about Visage and how powerful as a hero he is. If you're on behind, if you just don't get that early game lead that you normally get as a Visage, you just don't have a similar impact.
And Visage can, in theory, solo kill enemy supports and occasionally even carries if he's really far ahead, but if he's behind or equal, he needs a lot of help to make things happen. And problem is right now, I look at Rattlesnake, and who do they have that really starts a fight? DK has Super with a Blink Dagger, and he's Magnus, and he's level 11. There's your entire team fight in a 1-hero package. I look at Rattlesnake, Doom maybe walks in with Scorched Earth, Doom's 1 hero. That's not a great initiation. That's not a multiple hero AoE stun. Their lineup was really built on winning the laning stage, and we'll see what they can do from here on out, because Lumi, they haven't won it, so question is, what's the game plan for Rattlesnake? How can they come back, or how can they at least try and stem the bleeding?
I think what they need to do right now is just simply farm.
Oh, Blink RP.
Skewer onto 2, and Tombstone's up. Telekinesis lift not being used and not even necessary here. And here comes Big Bang Doom. Buckler's going to get popped, but he's going to get stunned as well. Acid Spray, Swarm should all be casted. They're going to focus on Burning, but Burning's not going to be down. There's going to be Doom being used, and here comes a call down as well. QQQ might actually go down here. Very surprisingly, it's Rattlesnake that wins a team fight. Double kill goes on here.
Burning gets clipped off. Buyback from Undying. Are they going to chase the other way? RTK's diving the tower. The swarm splashes through. Not going to connect on Icy or anybody else. So in the end, Rattlesnake, they force out a buyback, but they may lose Sagam. He looks to be in a lot of trouble. Slapped down by the little Rubik. And now, can they defend their tower? There's no cooldown. There's no Doom. And RTK is on the hunt. He wants Icy. He's going to dive in under cover of Sakuchi and start to go to work. He's got the time lapse. If he gets stunned, though, could go down. Able to juke away. Nice little play from him. And almost finds a courier for his trouble. This is coming in with the mech. RTK perhaps wanting to snipe it. If he gets the courier before the mech is delivered, it would be a disaster, but it looks like it'll be okay. Doom, unfortunately, doesn't have a stomp anymore, so RTK just toys with him in the jungle and then retreats back out again. When it's all said and done, I look at the gold graph, and it's still going up. 10K gold lead for DK, 7K experience lead for them as well.
I mean, all things considered, that was probably one of the best team fights you ask for. It was a 2-for-2 trade. You force a buyback out from Undying. You defend your tier 1. More importantly, you got a kill on Burning. And on a team that have lost practically every single lane, that's the best thing you could ask for. And well, it's an okay fight for Rattlesnake. They need to have more of those fights. And Doom, after that fight, will have mech finish. He has it right now in the fountain, and that generally should help you win the next one.
Yeah, and they have the smoke on Luo. Doom's cooling down. I'm completely with you that it's the best fight they could have hoped for. It's not enough yet. They have to keep the pressure up. They have to keep forcing DK into bad positions, take fights where they can. It's hard to do against a Blink RP super, and it's hard to do against DK's playstyle, which is generally, at this point in the game, protect Burning, generally be in his neighborhood, so if they go on him, there probably will be backup. But somehow, some way, they got to find a way to blend his farm because the Ancients were being stacked. He's going to start to find more gold otherwise. The smoke gank is about to be revealed. It will be a Blink RP. Catches 2 again. Skewers 3. Pile drives him into the tombstone. Into a whole lot of pain. A world of damage. Burning comes through. That stun hit everyone. Now onto Luo, the lone survivor, aside from the Bristleback, who isn't even in the fight. He's farming mid. Luo's going to be next in line. Super being soul ripped up. He'll live as well. My goodness. RP, Skewer then brings an additional one into an Alk stun that catches out 3, and the fight is just over.
Turns out that Magnus still a good hero when you land those 3-man RPs and Skewer backwards. It's as soon as all those spells hit, they're absolutely a half HP. And when there's zombies on top, when there's acid spray on top and a Fable, they're just practically wombo combo to death. And we're only like 16, 18 minutes in. It's
a whole new level of... Oh, we're going to see a Blink Skewer in mid lane, but Super realizes it's off the mark, so he only does a midget Skewer. He then throws... the Swarm gets thrown out on land, but he will kill off the bugs and be able to escape. But they get a tier 1 mid. They'll pressure that tier 2 bottom and do a lot of damage to it. And Rattlesnake, they really needed that fight to work for them bottom. When that doesn't work, you just got a mech on your Doom. You get that item to start winning fights now. You lose a huge fight. And all the while, Burning, and not just Burning, but also RTK, are really starting to accelerate their farm. RTK has the ultimate orb up. Looks like he could be going either Manta or Linken's. Linken's is not bad against Doom. He does have level death to remove the Linken's, but while he casts that, you can usually get away if they don't have a gem or other lockdown. So I think a Linken's would actually be a decent choice this game.
Yeah, the fortunate thing here for DK is that their spell damage is starting to taper off as the Rattlesnake hero is going to get more levels, and the physical damage is not really catching up. Burning's got some with the Shadow Blade and Acid Spray. ROTK not going to do much until he finishes Manta or whatever item that he's going to be going for, or Lincoln Sphere, I guess. So they do have, again, a small window opportunity. Where
actually, scratch that because there's a Bristleback in this game, so Lincoln's may not be the best item.
Yeah, it probably isn't. Like, a single goo will take you away.
I haven't cast many games with this hero, so brain not working properly, but yeah, don't advise that item.
Also, normally, I would say that, hey, Bristleback's actually a fine mid-game DPS hero because Warpath gives you so much, like, steroids. Unfortunately, he's going for a much defensive build. He's going for Hood, and well, there goes any kind of damage potential that, for example, Armlet would have gave you.
For the time being, DK, I just feel they're perfectly content to sit back and farm. They're stacking Ancients. Burning has Empower, something he didn't have on his Alchemist yesterday, and still farmed incredibly well. His farm rate isn't what it was yesterday, I think, but it's still 89 CS 20 minutes in. Not that impressive, but he's still Alchemist. He leads the farm charts, and now as he starts the level of Acid Spray, kills off a big Ancient stack, it will accelerate. And later on in the game, he doesn't need as many items because he has Empower and the Swarm on his side. So we'll see what he goes for, but things looking up and up for them. And Luo lurking in the jungle. He'll pick up some dust. Wants to make a go on RTK. Unfortunately, you can time-lapse out of that, but we will see if he gets off the time-lapse in time. Could be in trouble here. A Doom would spell his doom. RTK on the run.
Oh, no.
Sakuchi. Time-lapse is there, but he gets doomed after Sakuchiing away. Actually going to escape, and That's very troublesome. They really need to make kills happen with every Doom usage.
Yeah, well, so far, none of the Doom usage have ever gotten the kill, aside from the one that I think Neo TP up top as Visage, excuse me, and got that one kill. And meanwhile, Burning says, all right, nobody in my lane, gonna keep on pushing.
For the time being, Burning's gonna back off and look to Shadowblade out. He's got 4.5k. Feels like an Assault Cuirass game to me.
Yeah, I think Assault Cuirass is probably the best item you could get against a team that relies on a lot of it on physical damage. And, well,
and even the Bristleback. I mean, in theory, Warpath makes him a right-clicker. In practice, he's probably just going to die, but the spines do a lot of physical damage.
Right, they are based on armor, and the more armor you have, the armor your allies have, it's, you know, the less effective that he is going to be. So, is there a mech on the Radiant side?
It actually is going to be a Lincoln Sphere for RTK, so... Well, I mean, in theory, Goo really counters Lincoln Sphere, but in practice, Weaver's very elusive in the fights and can just kind of stay away from Bristleback, so maybe it's not such a bad choice on second thought. But we'll see. We'll see how it works out. If it even saves him once from a Doom death, it's probably worth it.
I'm dubious, because also there is Gyrocopter's homing missile. You could cast them at very far, and it's not when the rocket hits you, it cancels Lincoln. As soon as you cast it, the Lincoln's is gone. So I just don't think it's actually that good of a defensive item choice. I think something like a Vid Booster and then a Cloak and maybe a Yasha maybe a little bit better, but hey, he's got a ton more gold than the enemy team. He could do whatever the hell he wants.
And it'll probably work out just fine. DK now having a commanding lead. 17-5 in game 1 of this best of 3. That's your score. 16,000 gold lead. 13,000 experience lead. They are already 2-0 in Group B and really looking strong here in game 1. If they win this series, they will then move on to being 3-0 in the group and virtually, and at that point, guaranteed to advance and virtually guaranteed a top 2 finish, if not completely guaranteed. Orange, the only other team undefeated thus far, 2-0 on their own right. It sets up a pretty exciting Orange versus DK showdown if it comes to that, but we're not there yet. It's, of course, only game 1, and Rattlesnake, they'll fight this one out. They'll slug until they can't slug anymore, and point booster for Luo. He's going to go Ags again. I don't know, Lumi. I just don't feel this item is the solution. I feel they really need him to go more of a hard carry build. Things like Shadowblade, Assault Cuirass. Even if you doom the Weaver or the Alchemist and shut that, even the Mag, you shut one of those heroes down, you can't stay on top of them in the middle of the fight. So I guess it helps them tank up, survive a little longer, but I feel they need a lot more.
It really depends on who gets a jump on the team. If, let's say, DK gets a jump with 3-man RP on you, it doesn't matter what items you have, you're still going to lose a fight. Because as soon as, let's say, three of your team is dead or half HP, you're not going to win a fight no matter what item your Doom has. But if you do get the jump with Accepted Doom and you start chasing with things like Bristleback Quill Spray, Nasal Goo, and Visage Birds, like, if you're on the chase, it's okay, because it actually allows you to be a lot more tankier. He's also got the Ogre Frostmage creep, and hopefully he will keep that one, because it does give them and his team a lot more tank ability right now, and they need all the tank that they can get.
We'll see what they look to do. RTK, in the meanwhile, is going to push in the middle lane, just continue to apply pressure to the lanes and control the map as well as possible. For Rattlesnake, they're eking what farm they can out of the jungle, keeping themselves by no means in the game. They're very far behind on their cores, but just getting whatever farm they can. They'll soon have a Shadowblade on Icy. We'll see if that amounts to much, but a Blink RP will catch him out. Skewered away from the backup. Burning is there. The Visage Familiar trying to slow down this aggression. Now he's doomed up. Burning's driven back, but the rest of the fight breaks out on the back lines. It's QQQ tanking Laguna Blades and all sorts of additional damage to the face. Doesn't even care. Lamb still chasing. Can he find the kill? He does kill off QQQ at long last. They get the Undying. The trade was the Gyro. The trade will be Kabu as well. There's your Dust. Still on the run is RTK. He's going to hoof it out of there. He will survive. Now sag him to fall as well. Super running for all he's worth. He's got a skewer. He'll push Lamb back into the fray. The Quills are doing the work, but just not enough. Super barely able to live. Luo, the last man or creature standing, and at long last, he goes down too. They doom Burning, and he just runs away. And the GG from Rattlesnake. That really was the final stand.
I mean, if you look at that fight, everybody was at so low HP, then you think to yourself, hey, if Rattlesnake won 1 or 2 fights more before this one, they would have won that fight too. It was just so close, and even
if they won that first fight bottom when they had the mech,
yeah,
I think they could have turned the game around there.
They would have snowballed a little bit better, if you want to even call it like the butterfly effect. You know, who knows what happens when you win a fight. Unfortunately, that didn't happen, and DK, I guess, preyed upon thank you for that one, Stats. Preyed upon on a unstandard draft. I hope that doesn't discourage Rattlesnake from trying new things, because these heroes are very exciting to watch, whether win or lose.
It is. This is now the third or fourth game where we've seen Doom just struggle to find a place in the laning stage. That continues to be my concern whenever I see the hero picked up, is he just doesn't do well against most solos 1v1, and they kind of needed him to when the tri-lane failed. I think it would have been okay if the tri-lane didn't give up a first blood, if everything didn't go wrong, including the solo kill. Magnus killing off Gyrocopter at level 1, I mean, that's pretty tough to come, or not at level 1, but as soon as he got RP with his first usage of it, as well as the multiple early deaths in the tri-lane, that's hard to come back from. And then Doom on top of that, just not being that strong of a laner, losing his lane. I also think they could have ganked the Weaver earlier. We saw the rotation from Visage. As soon as Doom hit 6, considering they weren't getting anything done bottom, I would have liked to see that happen.
I'm also surprised that they laned it like that. I thought it was going to be Gyro up top. You give him a pair of Sentry Ward, what is Weaver's going to do? Sikuchi's up, you Rocket Barrage, and you win that lane. And mid lane, it's a free farm lane for Doom versus Magnus. Sure, he's going to bottle crow, you're going to bottle crow.
Right. You
eat creeps, he shockwaves, whatever. It's a lot easier of a lane for him to deal with. I'm not sure why they lane like that. One big reason is that Doom has an easier access into the jungle and could devour some of the bigger creeps.
You can somewhat get there from the mid lane as well.
Yeah, you could devour in-lane creeps. I just don't see what the big deal is. So.
And you can also just go to your big camp. It's not that far away from mid. If you push the lane out with Scorched Earth, maybe you go and eat a creep. Maybe you miss a couple of creeps experience, but you get the extra gold. You get the big experience from eating a big creep, and you can stay alive in the lane. The other thing is you can actually access runes, which Magnus is a decent rune controller. He can somewhat outpush Doom. I think he'll still beat Doom mid, but end of the day, Doom doesn't really have to win his lane. He just has to not die and get some early levels. And then you have the Gyro who can actually beat the Weaver.
Right, he lost the top lane badly. It was 47 creep kills to 17, like 8 minutes in or something like that. That cannot happen.
Well, in the end, it's going to be Rattlesnake who dropped game 1, but it is a best of 3, guys. Stay tuned. When we come back, we'll have DK versus Rattlesnake. This one, a best of 3. It will be DK leading the series 1-0.